It's a general message to anyone. I'm going to record this. I'm going to, send it out as soon as I can get it to download afterwards. It might be this evening. It might be first thing tomorrow morning. But I'm going to try to, present as much information as I can that's sort of consistent with the trends and questions that I've gotten about our opening plans and schedules and how things are going to work. And, on the right-hand side, we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end. I can try to get to as many questions as I can. If we can hold off on the questions, because I know I'm not going to answer them all, but I'm hoping that I can answer pretty much all of them in my presentation. And then whatever's remaining, I'll when I send out my copy of this recorded presentation, then I can look to answer some of those questions that I didn't get to. There's been a lot of questions, so please try to be patient as I get to as many as I possibly can. I'm just pulling up my presentation here now. And then we'll get started. All righty. Okay, so here's our presentation. Sorry about the snafu with the Zoom link. I hadn't seen that before, but these kind of things are becoming a little bit more normal in our lives at the moment, but we're working them out as we go. Welcome to the start of Lansing High School school year. Just seeing a lot of familiar faces that I haven't seen in quite a while or had the opportunity to take the lead in one of these meetings. It's really kind of nice to have the opportunity. It gives a sense of normalcy in my own life as well. So it's nice to see your faces, and we're really looking forward to seeing more of them. Like I said earlier, it's my intention to try to get as many of these questions answered that we might have. But there's been countless hours of work, district level, school level, counselors, everybody trying to prepare for offering our students as best an opportunity at education here in person or virtually at the start of this year, with a lot of things in mind, how things went at the end of last year and how we can better what happened. And so I just really want to start by telling everyone, welcome back. We're really confident in our plan that, if we execute our plan as we've talked about it so far, and we'll continue to talk about it, we'll be able to stay open for indefinitely. We're prepared for both in-person and virtual learning, far more so than we were when this was sprung on us on March 13th. We've learned a lot, and we're using what we learned to better the instruction that we're able to give in the virtual setting as well. To be honest, everybody's super excited to be back in the building. It was, a lot of us were a little anxious as we started. What is it going to be like? Many people haven't congregated at all over the summer. But as people get in the building, some of that anxiety eases, and you see your familiar faces, and you see people kind of following the social distancing protocols. One thing we can be thankful for is we have a community of people that are pretty conscious of one another. So, if that anxiety is happening at home, it's normal. First of all, it's absolutely normal. But second of all, a lot of us have felt pretty relieved as we've come into the buildings and see that people are taking care of one another and being safe. Lastly, I can't stress enough, as much as I love seeing parents' faces, we're all in this for children. So we're really looking forward to seeing the kids' faces. There's kind of a list of topics that I'm going to talk about tonight. And, that might not necessarily be in this order as I change some things around as I decide that one thing's more important than the other. But the real thing here is, in order for our plan to work and take place and continue to have in-person instruction and good instruction for all of our students, we got to follow these plans. So as I go through, it might not necessarily be in this order, and I might repeat myself on a couple of things that are pretty important. But I want to make sure that we're all on the same page as we get started here in just a couple days now. One of the questions that I got, so I'm starting out of order right away here. I got several emails about this today, and it seems to be a topic that's picking up as we see some of our numbers kind of trickle up in Tompkins County at the moment. People are asking about switching from hybrid to virtual or vice versa. I can't begin to describe to you the amount of planning that has gone into place to get the correct number of students in all classes. And that might not feel that way when a student goes to one particular class that maybe has 5 kids in it every other day. And, period 3 and period 7, they got 12 kids in. So changing days of the week is not something that we can do right now. It'll throw the system off that we've created on more levels than I can probably comment on. But, we've done the best we can to keep siblings on the same days for parents who, need to be home on days when kids are home, and keep classes balanced and for special education purposes and for, all kinds of reasons. So, but the main issue that I got today was, people are wondering, wow, we're getting a little bit nervous. Can we be virtual for the first 2 weeks and hybrid, even though we have to stick with the plan that if you've chosen 100% virtual, you're 100% virtual until semester 2, or until we're allowed to open as a school as normal. If you chose the hybrid option and you come to school for a couple of days and you feel like it's uncomfortable, you can go to virtual learning or 100% virtual learning, but you have to stay there because things will shift. And this is due, like I said, it's due to a lot of different things, but I've had this question a lot today and we have to stick with this. It's what we decided in the beginning. And if we move away from that right now, it's going to cause a lot of difficulty for us. Right now, this is our list, which we're updating, often, daily, of how many students are going to be in schools. As I mentioned, I am recording this, and I will send this presentation out so you can click on some of the links and spend a little more time looking at some of these things. But just to kind of show you one thing here, 9th grade, we have 100 students. 81 of them as of today are hybrid, 19 are virtual, which means on the far right side, only 41 9th graders will be in school in person on any given Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that goes on down to 151 total students in all grades. So, we have almost 370 students. So there's less than half of our students in our school buildings based on this plan. And that was necessary to keep 12 or less students in any class in any period at any given time. So I've had a lot of questions about our orientation week. Okay, so just generally speaking, the purpose of our orientation week, I like to kind of liken it to a soft opening for a new restaurant. All right, there's a lot of anxiety for families and for students and for teachers alike about what it's going to be like when we all get back in the building. We really need to kind of ease into this in a manner in which we can all exist in our building that we haven't been in since March 13th. And some people are gung-ho and some people are anxious, and we need to kind of get together and make sure that we make that a smooth process, and that we can give our students the expectations and the time to process those expectations for what it's going to be like in the building. But also we need to be able to work out, kinks or snafus that happen with technology as you're trying to set up your Google Meets that will be a lot more streamlined than they were last year for individual classes and working on a bell schedule virtually at home. So I've had some people ask me, what about 100% virtual students? What happens with them in orientation week? And I'll discuss that in a little bit. But our Monday, Wednesday students are only coming on Monday. Our Tuesday, Thursday students are only coming on Tuesday. This is next week, the 14th and 15th. The 16th, 17th, and 18th are all going to be what we're going to refer to as engagement days, and I'll explain that as well in a minute. All 9th grade students or parents who are on right now, tomorrow, your orientation starts a little bit sooner virtually. Yearly, we have Link Crew, where we have some older students who get together with a group of 9th grade students, split up into a bunch of groups, and orient them to our building and what it's like to be a Bobcat and things like that. Our Link Crew is 100% virtual this year. It's happening tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. When I send this out, you'll have the ability to click on this invitation, which you've already gotten from our link crew leaders, Ms. Brown and Ms. Schweiger. Okay, so as I said, Monday the 14th, our Monday, Wednesday students are coming in. On Tuesday the 15th, we have our Tuesday, Thursday students come in. On Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to refer to these as engagement days throughout the school year. It's going to be consistent with what Fridays are like, and I'll get into that in just a second. Our 100% virtual students are going to log in on Monday to their teacher's Google Meets. They'll get a link either through Google Classroom, which will then be sent to their emails. So they will get instructions on Monday by period and are expected to log into each period on their Google Classrooms to get instructions from their teachers on how the year is going to look. And as I mentioned, orientation week is going to be a lot of relationship building, getting to know students. And our first day of curriculum and new instruction on per course will begin on September 21st. Okay. In bold here in the middle, you can see there's one change for students, juniors, and seniors that are attending BOCES career and tech programs, just the career and tech programs. At one point, we discussed that those classes would begin on the 14th and 15th. That has since changed. BOCES is working out things like many other schools are, and they have a complicated task in that they get students from all kinds of different schools. So they're not having any in-person instruction until September 21st when we start our curriculum instruction. So on those 14th and 15th on your Monday and your Tuesday, if you're supposed to go to BOCES, instead of going to BOCES, you'll go home because we don't have room in the building at those times for the additional students. We'll have transportation to take you home, or for seniors, if you're not driving, we'll be bringing you to school in the afternoon instead. We've had a lot of questions about mandatory health screening. So it's important to understand that Monday and Tuesday of next week, we will be using a district Google form that will come to everybody's mailbox, and it asks you the simple questions, the same as the screener will ask you. Cayuga Medical Center screener is an application that we'll be using. You can click on these two links here that have been in Ms. Petagrasso's earlier presentations. You can click on those links and read more about them if you haven't seen them yet. But that Cayuga Med screener will not be ready for us until our first day of new instruction, which is the 21st. So during our 2 in-person orientation days, everyone will get a Google form from our school district, and you'll just fill it out. It asks what, was your temperature below, a certain amount, 99, below 100, or was it below 99, was it above 100? And then, sort of generic questions that you've probably seen. Have you been, associated with anybody or in proximity of anybody lately who's been diagnosed, or have you been quarantined, et cetera? So we will get the responses to that, and then I'll show you in a minute, we'll have 4 different doorways where students are entering the building by grade level, where we'll be checking to make sure students have done that screening process prior to entering the building. If they haven't done that screening process and taken their temperature, we'll have thermometers at doors, or we'll have our nurse available to help screen students before they're allowed to enter the building. So I'll show you a map here in a second. I'll just go over this briefly. When entering and exiting the building, much of this presentation and much of the likelihood of our ability to continue to have in-person instruction is dependent upon our ability to social distance and not spread literally probably even the common cold or the flu or COVID, because the symptoms are very similar for each. So all of our students are entering at grade level through 4 different doorways. Our 9th grade students are going to enter through the athletics locker room entrance. Our 10th grade students through the front main entrance of school. 11th grade through the LGI entrance, and 12th graders by your beloved senior parking lot on the middle school side of the school. I'll show you a map in just a second of what that looks like. Typically, when our students enter the buildings in the morning, everybody congregates in the cafeteria. Some kids love that in a normal year, and some kids hate it. This year, that we can't allow students to congregate in the hallways or in the cafeteria. So if students eat breakfast at school, in the cafeteria, we'll have a couple monitors in there, and one of our lunch people with grab and go options for breakfast, for school lunch. Students will grab their breakfast if they get it or not, and go directly to their first period classroom where their teachers will be. At the end of school, we will, school ends this year at 2:25. So once that last bell rings, all students who are here for in-person learning are going directly home at 2:25. Typically, we have an after-school period where students can interact with their teachers or go to their teachers' classrooms. We will still be having that, but that will be dedicated to the students who have been on virtual instruction throughout the day, because those students who have been in in-person instruction have had contact with their teachers that day, but will also be traveling home, and maybe not home before 3 o'clock when that after-school period will be happening virtually. So students still have that. It'll be much like office hours. Students can pop in and ask questions that they may have not had the ability to talk about virtually on those days. Here's the map I referred to. There's a link to this map. When I send this out, I'll make sure that all of those links work. But I've just labeled a couple of things. Here's Ridge Road up here. This is our main entrance. So, the pond would be right about here in our circle. So if ninth grade students walk down here, they'll meet Miss Perenni, who will be checking ninth grade students in. That's our Dean of Students. At our 10th grade entrance, we'll have Mr. Lovelace. He'll be here checking students in, making sure they've done their health screener. I will be right here for the LGI entrance, which you would enter from the circle as well. This is an entrance to the school where the 11th graders will come in. And then the seniors, Ms. Scheffler, who's our new athletic secretary. She's been here for a long time, knows many of the students. She'll be checking students in here at this side entrance that goes to the cafeteria. I also have some pretty neat pictures with some of the construction people that are still in them that I'll add to this when I send it out, if it provides any more clarity. As hopefully we'll have this sorted out, but there's plenty of signage, and you'll see the adults, myself, Ms. Perenni, Mr. Lovelace, Ms. Scheffler, outside waving to students, directing them where to go Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully this will become a routine pretty quickly. I can't stress this enough. If you have a sick student, please do not send them to school. I can tell you from my own experience, there's plenty of times when I've felt under the weather and come to school and toughed it out, because it's easier to be here than it is not to be here, and teachers do that. A lot of times we give the kids some Tylenol, break the fever, and send them to school and get them through. We just can't afford to do that, because the symptoms for COVID, the symptoms for cold and flu they're all pretty similar. So when we send kids to school, and we obviously don't know the difference of those until students are tested. We have very limited space even with the small numbers of students that we are bringing in daily. So our isolation or our quarantine room is our nurse's office. So if we have students that at some point during the day develop any sort of symptoms and need to go to the nurse's office, and the nurse calls, we'll be sending students home as soon as we possibly can. Parents, it's unfortunate, but in this circumstance we're living in right now, if you get a call from the nurse and your child needs to be picked up, we need to get them home as soon as we can, because, if heaven forbid, if someone has COVID and not just a cold and flu, and we have, places that we need to get kids to who are also sick, we just can't afford to take the risk to spread any sickness at all. So if you have students who are sick, please don't send them to school. We can, if they're not super sick and they just have symptoms, they can log on to their classes virtually, and that will be, I've received a lot of questions about, is it going to be a lot more substantial than it was last year, March to June? The answer is coming up, and the answer is yes. So hopefully, even if your students in person or at home, they're going to be getting high quality instruction, often very similar instruction. So it will be worth keeping them at home if at all possible. So once students are inside school, we have all kinds of, our classrooms are all set up based on their capacity and their square footage. So everybody's got max capacity signage on their rooms. Those signs indicate how many people could be in those rooms at maximum, at social distance based on square footage. We are under, in 99% of those cases, we are under that with the number of students that are coming. However, as things change and we move around a little bit, we kept it under to keep a buffer to not push our luck initially, to make sure we could open and keep this going as long as we can. Teachers have all had to do some training on hygiene, cleaning, disinfection. We have face masks that are available here in case anybody forgets them. We have these handy signs for every classroom. We are following the Department of Health guidelines that in the classrooms, students will be wearing face masks, teachers will be wearing face masks. Excuse me. It's been an adjustment for even adults wearing face masks. We understand that people are going to need breaks, and we're going to be training students on how to appropriately take a face mask break, either in the hallway or outside of a classroom where they can get a breather and make sure that we're all comfortable and we're all able to learn and participate in our education and remain safe. And many of our previous Zoom meetings where we've talked about increased ventilation in buildings, all of our systems are running here pretty much 24/7 now, so that we're turning the air over quicker and ensuring that the air in the buildings is safe. Okay. So teachers will be sharing the training that they got. They will be sharing the PPE that we'll be offering, disposable or PPE, face masks, other personal protective equipment for students. So if somebody forgets a mask, we'll have it. There'll be, daily reminders. There's signage that we've got around the buildings, as I mentioned. And, we understand that there's a learning curve in this, but we're going to be very diligent about ensuring that all students are wearing their masks. We absolutely have to do that in order to ensure that we can remain open. And if there are students that refuse or don't want to wear masks, they're more than welcome to participate in 100% virtual instruction, and that won't be an issue for anyone else. We're not going to allow anyone to jeopardize the health and safety of the people that are teaching our students or are learning with our students or are our students. Okay, as just like, meal times in general, I know I mentioned that students will pick up breakfast and head directly to their classroom, their first period classroom, and eat in those classrooms. Our lunch periods, for instance, our cafeteria, we have a larger capacity than we've offered because of the increased safety necessary when students are eating. So, we've divided up our eating, our lunch spaces. Typically we have 2 lunch periods that are all the students are in the lunch. So now we're going to have several different, I believe there's 5 different rooms with no more than 30 students in them. These are rooms that have larger capacities. So they're socially distanced. We have 1 student at a table so they can eat without their masks on. Just want to check. I'm getting some stuff popping up. I want to make sure, since I can't see you, that nothing's happening that I don't know about. Okay. Some of the classes that have a little bit different regulations or protocols than our typical history, math, science, language classes, orchestra, band, vocal classes, and PE. These are classes where you can potentially be singing, doing aerobic activities, playing a wind instrument, horn, etc. These have more strict protocols because of the nature of either not wearing a mask when you're playing a horn. We've limited that. There's our teachers have in place alternate plans, so we won't have our typical ensembles happening because those are typically really large groups of students. Lessons, students may be playing instruments in that are maybe one-on-one or very small groups. And much of that information will come directly from our music teachers. In our PE classes, we're pretty pared down. We're looking at, maybe hiking outside a little bit, going for walks. Students, we have very limited space because, space and capacity is limited by square footage, including, big furniture in the rooms. Our locker rooms do not have much capacity for students. So we're only asking students to bring shoes so that they could, participate in outdoor activities like walking, hiking, things like that. Okay, so our student schedules and attendance. These are some pretty big points that I want to make sure that I get across to everybody. I've had a lot of conversations, a lot of comments about is virtual instruction going to look like it did March to June? And the answer is absolutely not. Our students are going to be in school, our hybrid students are going to be in school Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday and Thursday. It's easy to take attendance for those students. All students who are on virtual instruction will need to log in during their class periods to their classes' Google Meets in order to, one, get an assignment, and two, account for attendance purposes. There's been a lot of questions about technological availability. We've done a lot of work to mitigate technological issues that families have at home. There is still some work to be done about that, and we are constantly working on that, and we will be flexible about it. But for NICED, for state purposes, for what the state education department requests, we have to be able to take attendance for students daily, and we have to be able to engage students who are not in our classrooms on our schedule and account for their attendance daily. Okay, so students will, different classes are going to look a little bit differently as they normally would in a school year. Okay, your students who are in person may be, getting their instruction in person, and students who are home may be getting the same instruction. Students can log in for attendance purposes and get an assignment that they're going to work on for the remaining 37 minutes of class and be expected to turn that in at the end of the class period, and then do the same in their next class, or in their next class they may log in and participate in a lab with kids that are in the classroom. Okay, so we are asking all students at the beginning of a class period, log on for attendance purposes, gather your instructions from your teacher for what you're doing during that class period, and then we'll go from there. Fridays, until further notice, and right now our plan is we're going to get to October and figure out what's working and what isn't. We will count, as NICED refers to it, we'll count Fridays as an engagement day. This means our teachers will be sending students an assignment that they would work on during their class period. So, period 3 begins, your student will open up Google Classroom to period 3, see that they have an assignment for whatever their period 3 class is. They will work on it during period 3. And then later in the day, our teachers will have office hours where the students can check in with them and troubleshoot any issues that they had with their understanding. All of our special ed teachers and our English language learning teachers are all prepared to help with that synchronous instruction, and they're all prepared to help in the after school period and on engagement days to ensure that all of our students are getting a good shot at or an equal shot at the instruction that they're getting on those days. Okay, so I want to be clear. This academic expectations, the attendance expectations that we have, this isn't remote learning like March through June. This is hybrid or virtual learning as we've been preparing for since. Okay, so like attendance is going to count. It has to. All students, remote or virtual, remote days or virtual days, need to sign on. If they're not physically in the room for attendance purposes, get their assignments. We will have grades. Sorry, you can't see what that says on the bottom there. We will have grades, we will have assessments, and you know, some of those funky things that we had to do in order to get through the end of last year. You know, we will be doing, we will be grading as we used to. Of course, there's going to be flexibility for students. Of course, there are going to be issues that come up, and you know, we'll work with families as best we can to ensure that access is equal for everyone, whether it be, you know, for educational reasons or technological reasons. We're prepared. We've thought about as many of these things as we possibly can, and we will continue to troubleshoot them as they come up. One of the technological things that I need to mention tonight is that, you know, for the most part, pretty much everybody's signed out a Chromebook. Students can use their personal devices. I will tell you that there are no personal devices that are connected to the LCSD network. There is a guest network that they can be connected to, but since the network hack that we had the summer before last, we don't connect personal devices. I can't even connect my personal devices to our Lansing network, and our guest network does not work as efficiently, so it would be best to use a Chromebook. Students are going to be expected to take that Chromebook to and from school. All right, students who are 100% virtual, if you need a Chromebook and you haven't gotten one yet, we have a plan in place to get those out next week along with other materials. If you're a hybrid student and you perhaps don't have as good an internet at home, we have the ability, when you bring your Chromebook to school, you can on our network, you can download all of the information that you'll need to work on remotely at home and then show that to your teachers the following day if that is necessary. So it's just one of many things that we're doing to make sure that everyone has access, and we'll continue to work on that. I've had a lot of questions about CTE, career tech classes, and BOCES schedules. So as I mentioned earlier, no in-person classes at BOCES until September 21st. We will be providing transportation as we normally do for our students going to and from our high school, and from our high school to and from BOCES. Okay, we've had, you know, BOCES would like to be able to offer more in-person instruction days to their students if they have room. They've asked that we wait until October 5th, or the week of October 5th, so they can evaluate how many students are coming from each of the schools that participate in their programs. If that does happen, we will be able to increase the amount of transportation that we give to students going to and from BOCES. In regards to buses in general, we have drivers and monitors. Obviously, we have drivers and we have some monitors on some buses depending on the runs. All of them, those people have been trained in the same way our teachers have. They will be wearing masks. They will have masks available. Students will be required to wear masks on buses. The only reason that student wouldn't be wearing a mask is if they have a medical reason, and if that's the case, then we will take extra precautions with social distancing. On the buses, as we've mentioned before, students in the same household can sit together, but other than that, we will have students one per seat.
I love you, Hornbrook.
Please don't do that, but I appreciate it. As I mentioned, we'll be doing transportation as we normally do for BOCES, from home to here to BOCES, back, and so on. Okay. On Monday, our buses, they'll be stopping on Monday and Tuesday next week, the orientation days. Our buses will be stopping at every house along the route. These are all new routes. you know, some of them are new routes, so we're, you know, timing things like that. We're trying to sort those things out. And also, I want to mention, if you're a Monday student and you see the bus stop at your house, only get on the bus if you're a Monday student, and vice versa. If the buses accidentally stop at your house, we just can't have more people in the building than we're allowed to have in the building. So just don't go out to the bus if it's not your day. Okay, that's the end of my presentation. I saw a lot of dinging going on the chat here, and I wasn't paying attention because I was trying to focus there, but I'll try to kind of go through some of these questions and see what I can get to answer here. So you know, the ones that are addressed to me privately, I'll kind of skip over those and I'll get back to you. But it says, if we keep a child home because of cold symptoms, should we notify an attendance person? Please do. If you have students, if you have more than one student in your home and you have somebody with symptoms, and you know, one student has it and another doesn't, I would say yes, keep them both home. We have the availability, and you know, I can't stress this enough. We're going to try to teach as if all of our students, whether they're in the room or not, are getting the same instruction as best we can. So it's better to play it safe than wind up being sorry. So if you have more than one child in the house and one child is sick, and there's a potential for the other child to maybe be sick and not showing it yet, I would keep them both home. Process for dropping kids off and picking them up at school. Our process is going to be the same. However, I didn't mention during my presentation there, we're letting students in the building at 7:35 to 7:45. So students will be able to come through the doors that I described to you on that map from 7:35 to 7:45. At 7:45, we'll you know, begin to close those doors off. Our first bell rings at 7:50. So anybody that's coming in after that will have come through in a socially distant manner the front door, our main entrance, and we'll have one or two people there checking. But as I mentioned before, we don't have an excess number of adults in the building, so we're going to have to take those other two people back to use them to, you know, as hall monitors and things like that. So at 7:45 to 8 o'clock, we'll be screening kids, checking kids in at the front door who have missed the grade level opportunity to come in. And just getting kids in here on time is important, and we've got to do the best we can to do that. What email address are you using for the Google form and screening process? We will be using parents' emails. So we'll be using the primary and secondary, which that's how it is in School Tool. We know that we're all primary caregivers or parents or guardians, but we'll be using both email addresses. So we only need one filled out. It'll save confusion, but it's better safe than sorry. So if you fill it out twice, that's fine. So if you missed the beginning, freshmen enter orientation day, on the athletic side, they walked straight down by the pool. I see, does a runny nose due to seasonal allergies constitute staying at home? These are really kind of tough questions to answer that are this specific, but if you have any question as to whether or not, you know, it's not allergies, do not send your children to school. You know, things are going to happen. We have to mitigate as best we can you know, when students are sick, should they be coming to school? You're not funny, but you are. Runny nose is on the list of symptoms. So if you have a runny nose, you cannot come to school. If you have to check that box, you cannot come to school. My school nurse just bailed me out there. Students will know their lunch location based on their schedule. So when they get their school schedules, they will see where their lunch is scheduled for. Okay, thank you, Ms. Pereni. Okay, students that are 100% virtual will be getting their textbooks sometime next week, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Okay, we will have other opportunities. We've had a lot of days where students could come and pick up their Chromebooks. Next week, we're going to take care of the remainder of the Chromebooks and the texts. I will give you more details on that by Monday morning, absolutely before instruction begins on the 21st. Okay. If we have our own Chromebook at home, can we use that, or must it come from school? Like I said, you're more than welcome to use your own technology at home. And I can't stress this enough because I've had this difficulty myself, and I've tried to help some parents at times watching athletic games. Our guest network, just because of the way things are set up and the hacks that we've had in the past that shut down our entire network, personal devices do not work very well here on our guest network, and they're not allowed on our LCSD network. So your school, if you're 100% virtual, you're more than welcome to use your own devices. If you're virtual, you can use your own device at home. I would get a Chromebook if you're a hybrid student and use the Chromebook here in school. There will be chargers, of course, kids are going to come to school at times. We'll mitigate that as best we can without their their computer charged. So there'll be some chargers that we can use and sanitize, but Chromebooks work best at school. Students that drive to school, is it okay to request bus for every day, even though they may not be using it? So if you're not, if you're going to drive to school the majority of the time, but that you're going to just do the best you can. If you're going to need the bus at some point, sign up for the bus, because it's best that we can get you here, and it's best that we are, able to, keep the social distancing on the bus. We'll find a way if we know that in advance. Buses are picking up for orientation days. We'll get more information about 100% virtual PE from our PE teachers. We have worked quite a bit so far on how we can make that go better than it did in the spring. So we'll have some more information on that shortly. Students can absolutely drive to school on Monday. We can take care of parking passes as we move along. We're going to be a little bit more lenient on that. If you've been on any of Ms. Petagrasso's Zoom meetings so far, you'll see that for the first time ever, we're asking students to drive if possible, just to, keep social distancing, where yearly we're always begging people to ride the bus because it's the safest, easiest way to get people here on time. It's not necessarily the case right now. The safest way could be driving and keeping distance. The AB schedule on students' classes. So this could be kind of complicated you might have to listen to this more than once, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So Monday, Tuesday are A days. Wednesday, Thursday are B days. Every other Friday is an A day. Every other Friday is a B day. That is to ensure that lab periods and PE periods that kids have, every other day, your Monday, Wednesday kids will have an A and a B day because they go A, B, B, right? So students will have in-person PE once a week. They will have their science lab periods once a week, or any other double periods they'll have once a week. I got a question about bus pickup times. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. There's always a couple that I can't answer right off the top of my head. We can take care of parking passes when students get to school. During orientation week, I would say we're going to really try to keep kids in their classrooms so they can get to know their teachers. We can go on the honor system, especially because we're going to have quite a bit fewer people on campus day to day. Our junior lot won't be full and our senior lot probably won't be full. So we can put parking passes on the back burner for a little bit until we get a grip of what's going on. Feel free to drive Monday, Tuesday, the first week of school. We can work that out as we go. There's not 200-300 people. I see some questions about athletics coming up now where I'm scrolling. So one, can you still participate in athletics if you are 100% virtual? The answer is yes, you may. A lot of the athletics conversation is still way up in the air. Last night, we kind of got sprung on us that football, volleyball, and cheerleading have all been moved to March 31st. So we're going to ask Brett Hotchkiss, our football coach, and our baseball coach to coach simultaneously, synchronously, and virtually baseball and football on March 31st. That was a joke. It's okay to laugh. But that was news that, the state has been talking about prolonging the decision until things are safer. And then they just threw that one on us like we're hearing it on the radio before we even heard it from state or athletic folks. You gotta mute that, whoever that is. Throwing me off. So transportation is still going to the other BOCES type campuses, Turning Points. Excuse me. I should have brought a drink of water with me. I'm just getting a little dry here. So BOCES is the Smith School, Turning Points, those things are starting on 9/21. We still have typical transportation for students going to those. Orientation for freshmen and sophomores. That is a regular school day on your Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday schedule. Just trying to see, where's the information provided families in written form? So the information in written form will be provided. I'm going to send out the presentation. There's a lot of links in it that have, more information or additional information in those links on those topics. I will collect these questions and try to get them out by the end of tomorrow with as many answers as I can, like in a frequently asked questions format for parents to have and refer to. You can also listen to this. I'll post this recorded version of my presentation so that you could listen to this again if you'd like to. I just got a question about is Link Crew orientation the same as like your orientation days on Monday and Tuesday? The answer to that is no. So tomorrow's Link Crew orientation is student to student relationship kind of thing. So all 9th grade students that participate in Link Crew orientation tomorrow should still plan on coming on either Monday or Tuesday if they are a hybrid student. Are kids going to have lockers? The answer to that is yes. We're still in the process of dividing out lockers so that students aren't close to one another. So we're trying to separate them out by Monday, Wednesday students and Tuesday, Thursday students in grade level to keep students from having to move around the building more than necessary. The 100% virtual freshman orientation, I assume what you're referring to is, not specific to freshmen, but any 100% virtual student. Those students should log in to their class period schedule. They will see their Google Classrooms are set up. They are entered into those Google Classrooms by their teacher. So they will get notifications with Google Meets on their schedule to log in and get further information from their teachers during those orientation days, and same for when school begins with the new instructions. Okay. Just scrolling here, trying to see what I missed. Monday is for all grades, 9 to 12. Monday, Tuesday. What time? Okay, well, hybrid students need to bring both their hybrid students bringing their textbooks back and forth. I guess the simple answer is yes, but I'm sure that the teachers are going to be cognizant of what that looks like, or that's going to mean for students carrying tons of stuff. So hopefully we'll come up with a better strategy so that our students don't need 3 backpacks to get back and forth to school. And we'll be cognizant of that. It's because a lot of things are virtual, and we're trying to get as much virtual information going, virtual instruction going. Hopefully the kids won't be having to carry much more than their Chromebook to and from school. And, of course, a good old paper and pencil is still good to have with them as well. Can I confirm football, volleyball, and cheer are moved to March 31st now and not later this month? That is confirmed, Ms. Best. Those 3 sports are the only thing that we have definite answers on yet. The others, I don't even want to begin to comment on what's going on with a couple of the other sports. Mr. Lovelace has been in tune to those conversations a lot more, and he can answer those questions. But yes, football, cheer, volleyball, March 31st. Just catching up here, sorry. Got to be honest with you, I feel like I look dumb as I'm trying to catch up with these questions, but I'm doing the best I can. What days do students attend next week? So when you got your schedule says if you're a hybrid student, you have Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday. So if you're a Monday, Wednesday student, 9 through 12, you come on Monday. If you're a Tuesday, Thursday student, 9 through 12, you come on Tuesday. If you're a 100% virtual student, you log into your Monday classes. You log in, if you're 100% virtual, you log into the Google Meets on your Mondays, and your teachers will give you more instructions. I see I'm getting some private messages of encouragement here. Thank you very much. The sports practices that may be happening, like I said, Matt Lovelace can help answer some of these questions. But September 21st, it's possible that we'll be having some athletics that are outdoors. There's, quite a few, well, not quite a few. There's a few sports that could be happening in limited manner. I really want to leave those questions for Mr. Lovelace to answer, because I don't want to get lost in the details.
Mr. Hornbrook?
Yes.
I can answer a few questions if you like right now.
Do it. Give me a break. I could use a drink.
So folks, I mean, really things are in flux. Like Mr. Hornbrook said last night, the New York State Public High School Athletic Association came out with football, volleyball, and cheer. They're being pushed to March. And we're still waiting for guidance in terms of if those sports can still practice. We're still waiting for that. In terms of the other sports this fall, soccer, cross country, girls swim, and dive, were right now, per Governor Cuomo, he gave permission for schools to open up if that's a viable option. And that's what the State Public Athletic Association has said too. However, if you've seen recently, there have been some schools in Section 4 that have already opted out. And I can tell you that discussions are taking place right now as we speak. There's a meeting that's taking place right now, actually down in Sydney at the Section 4 offices with league presidents and stuff like that. Just everything's in flux. And as Mr. Hornberg said, if I had the answer, I wish I could provide it to everybody, but we're just day by day, we're going with information that's provided to us, and we're trying to get that out to our coaches and get that out via social media and stuff as best as we can. In terms of practices and stuff like that, right now, we're just waiting for confirmation from the section and league. And we've been told that we're going to expect that hopefully by, if not tomorrow, by the beginning of next week. And once we have that, we'll be able to have a concrete plan in place in terms of practices, potentially what they would look like and so forth. So I wish I could provide more, and I appreciate, everybody being flexible, and I hope you've been understanding of kind of the situation that we've all been in terms of the fluidity of it all.
Okay, it's you have 1 minute. To be honest with you, I'm wishing that 1 minute was gone. A lot of people are signing out to go to middle school, and I'm going to download this. I'm going to send it out to everybody. I try to be as clear as I possibly could about like days of the week and logging in, and I'll make sure there's some paper copies of some easy FAQ sort of literature that you can have to check in on and make sure this is clear. One last thing, when you get some communications that say, contact the athletic director for this, the counselors for that, et cetera, we're kind of getting hit from every direction. And with the athletic thing, typically I would know all the answers to these questions, but I'm putting out a lot of fires elsewhere. So Matt is the contact for athletics, and like scheduling issues, the counselors, and we'll do the best we can. Those people are going to have those answers for you faster than I may, or even Ms. Petagrasso may. So try to hit those channels first, and those people will get to you, because it's gonna streamline things. But we'll do everything we can to get you those answers as soon as we possibly can, and hopefully there'll be ones you like. But these are tough times, so bear with us. Thank you everybody for coming. It's nice to see everybody. Like I said in the beginning, we can't wait to see more of you, and hopefully we'll be safe and keep it going. So I'm going to log off now and download this thing, and I'll send it to you as soon as I possibly can. Have a good night, everyone.